Hi there. It's Miss Tiffany from the Butler Area Public Library, and I'm here with another Library 101 video. Library 101 is a series of videos that will help you learn more about the Butler Area Public Library, about libraries in general, and about information literacy. Today, we are going to talk about a special kind of material found in our collection called periodicals. We're going to talk about all the different kinds of periodicals there are, but then we're going to take a look at the periodicals in the children's department and the young adult department, which would be the ones that you are most familiar with. So, first of all, what is a periodical? Well, a periodical is a type of material that is updated or published on a periodic basis, hence the name periodical. So, this is something that gets continually updated, unlike a book, which is usually published and then just sort of exists out there until they need to update the publishing, which may be 10, 20, 30 years sometimes. A periodical is updated on a regular basis. So, this would include things like newspapers, such as the Butler Eagle as our local newspaper, or the New York Times as a national newspaper. This would include newsletters like the Butler Area Public Library newsletter that gets delivered to your inbox, or maybe you get newsletters from other organizations that you are active with. This also includes magazines, and then it includes scholarly journals. Scholarly journals are sort of like magazines for academics. They are published on a regular basis. Sometimes that is monthly, sometimes that is quarterly, sometimes it is half a year or yearly, but they are published on a regular basis and they contain research based articles. We use a lot of scholarly journals because they are validated through a process called peer review, which means that someone outside of the research process has taken a look at the research that has been done and validated it, that it has been done appropriately, and that we can trust the findings of it. That's very important when you're doing a research paper. You want to make sure that you have sources that are peer reviewed, and scholarly journals are the most likely source of that kind of information. However, scholarly journals aren't the type of periodical that we are most used to seeing in the library, specifically in the children's department. Maybe some young adults will be using scholarly journals, but for the most part, in the library world, we are talking about newspapers and magazines. Now, we don't have any special newspapers in the children's department, but the library itself does have newspapers as part of our periodicals collection. What we mostly see, though, are magazines. We have magazines for the general public in our general collection, but then we also have magazines specifically for kids in the kids department and specifically for young adults in the young adult department. So I want to take a look at what we have to offer for children, first of all. First, we have a subscription to National Geographic Kids that can be found in the children's department. We have Sports Illustrated Kids. We have Highlights magazine, as well as High Five magazine, which is for a slightly younger group than Highlights. And finally, we have Ranger Rick magazine. So those are all the magazines that you will find in the children's department. And just like books, our magazines can be checked out and borrowed and taken home. In the young adult department, we have a couple of magazines. One of them is called Muse, and it is a magazine that focuses on creativity. And another young adult magazine we have is called Cobblestone. So those are the physical magazines that we have in both the children and the young adult department. We do have other magazines for general circulation out in the area of the library where we keep our magazines and newspapers. But we also have an electronic resource that allows you access to magazines, and this is called Flipster. Flipster is a resource that you have access to with your library card, and it allows you to read current and back issues of all different kinds of magazines. Flipster can be accessed on a desktop computer or an app that you have installed on your electronic device, whether it's an Android or an iPhone. You can find the Flipster app in your phone's app store and download it. You will need your library card number in order to log in. So I have used my library card to log into Flipster on my desktop computer just to give you an idea of what kinds of magazines are available and how to use this resource. There is specifically a category for family and kids, and I'm going to take a look at that category right now. So right now there's only one magazine listed in that category, and it is Parents Magazine. And you can see that the current issue is March 2021, and we can click on this link here to read this issue. So it loads the magazine issue right in our browser, and we are able to use our arrow keys to flip through it just like we would a print magazine. Let's take a look at another category to see what it looks like when we have multiple magazines available in that category. We're going to take a look at hobbies, interests, and DIY. So when we click on that, you can see it lists all of the magazines that fall into this category. And for this one, there are quite a few. Let's say you want to learn about birds and you decide to read Audubon magazine, published by the National Audubon Society. For this one, the most recent issue is from winter 2020. So that indicates that they perhaps do not publish on a monthly basis. They may publish less frequently. And the last issue they published was winter 2020. So again, we can click on it and it will open it up in a new tab. It will load the magazine, and using our arrow keys, we can once again flip through it. So, Flipster is an electronic resource that you always have access to with your library card where you can check out magazines. We talked briefly about scholarly journals, and you do have access to some scholarly journals with your library card as well. To access those, you're going to go to the library's website, www.butlerlibrary.info, and you're going to take a look at the e-resources page. So I'm going to share that with you right now. So this is our e-resources page on our website. If you scroll down, you will see all of our e-resources listed here, including Flipster. But when you're looking for scholarly journals, again, you're going to look for this Power Library icon right here, and you're going to click on it. So these are all different databases that you have access to with your library card. And some of them are just general information, but some of them do contain scholarly journals. So we're going to take a look here at middle school research, and it's going to show us the different databases that we have access to. And some of these databases may contain scholarly journals in them. Most likely, though, if you're looking specifically for scholarly journals with peer review articles, you're going to want to look at the college resources set of databases. And I always suggest starting with Academic OneFile. It tells you right in the description you're going to find peer reviewed full text articles from journals in various areas. So this is the one where you are most likely to find peer reviewed scholarly journals. I also want to mention that within Power Library, you have access to another set of periodicals in the newspaper and magazine set of databases. So this includes the AP Newsroom, which would be AP articles, and then Gale News database. Again, this is a database that allows you to browse newspaper and magazine articles. So this is just a general overview of what our library has to offer in terms of periodic resources. But what do you use periodic resources for anyway? Why would you select a periodical over a book? Well, we talked about how periodicals are continuously published, right? They are published either monthly or quarterly, as opposed to books that are usually only published once. Maybe there's some updates somewhere down the road. So, in a world where information is quickly changing, periodicals allow us to access updated information much more quickly. However, we live in the internet age, and even things like print newspapers and magazines quickly go out of date because information is updated so quickly. Another reason someone might choose to use periodicals if they're doing research is you want to have a variety of resources. You don't want to just use periodicals, you don't want to just use books. You want to make sure that you're covering a broad spectrum of resources in order to get well balanced information. But really, most often we see patrons using periodicals to read for entertainment or just self enrichment. A lot of people aren't doing research, they just like to read magazines or newspapers to get updated information or to get a little bit more in depth information in a topic that interests them. This has been a brief overview of periodicals in general and the periodicals that the Butler Area Public Library has to offer. If you have any questions about how to access any of these, whether they are our in-house resources or our e-resources, please feel free to reach out to me here at the Butler Area Public Library. I have uploaded a set of activities for your family to work on if you want to get used to using magazines and how to find information in them and how to read them in context. I will include the link to that worksheet set in the description of this video, as well as my contact information. Thank you so much for watching and happy reading.